Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome back to Spellforce The Order of Dawn with myself, Oswald Lyric Vividor, or Spellforce Platinum Edition, full stop. With myself, Oswald Lyric Vividor. So I'm going to go over a video on stats. Now, in my game, I'm just going to load my game up just to show you what I'm talking about, right? So, if I go into my window a second, like, in my guide I go over stat points that are required for each level of the combats, right? So as you can see, level 11 heavy combat arts, and that means that you don't have to stick all those points into strength and stamina, right? So strength and stamina is my main stat, right? That's what I need for heavy combat arts, but it doesn't mean to say that I need to stick all my points into it. The only reason I do is because I'm so used to doing it. Right, and depending on the gameplay that you play, say for instance if you're playing easy, dexterity and agility, like, yes they matter, but they're not going to matter as much. Whereas if you play on medium and hard, the harder settings, that's when you need more dexterity, more agility, because otherwise you're not going to be hitting your enemies, or you're going to be getting hit too much by your enemies and you're going to die. Right, so when you're building your avatar, you want to take that into mind, take a look at the stats required for each level, build them up, and then once you've got like a decent amount of stat points that you know that you can get throughout the game, then you can start sticking points elsewhere. And I'd start sticking points elsewhere during your gameplay, depending on where you are. And I'm going to cover this in a separate guide for each of the combat arts anyway, so that you're aware of how many how many points you're really going to need to start off, and then like where you can put other points in. So it's a good run, so like to know how many points that you've actually got to put in to the game. So every level you're getting 5 and you start off with 30. So I mean, you could start with say 10 dexterity, 10 agility, and then put 5 into stamina and strength. And then that way you've at least got more than the base stat itself. And to be fair, throughout the game, early on in the game, you're not going to get really decent gear for you to add the points in, but later on in the game, as you can see, like my hat that I'm wearing gives me 5 intelligence and 10 charisma. Don't really need the intelligence or the charisma, but it does come in handy for my spells itself. Then when you look over the gear, the armor set that I've got, I'm getting plus 10 strength, plus 10 stamina, and 20 on both agility and dexterity. And then I'm also getting 5 boost to both strength and stamina again, and 10 on agility just from my greaves. Then my shield is 10 on both strength and stamina. And then, agility and dexterity from my ring, and then on this one it's giving me 7 points for each. So you do want high amounts of dexterity and agility, and possibly like only the base amount of stamina, because you could whack loads into dexterity and agility and loads into strength and split the 3 stats individually, and only go for the required amount of stamina, because your gear is still going to offer you a decent level of stamina. But to be fair, you do want roughly about the same amounts of dexterity, agility, stamina and strength throughout the game. And this is where I'm going to go over that in a separate section of the guide, so that you're aware of that during the gameplays. Okay, so I've just covered your stat point, and it's the same for any stat for that matter. So for argument's sake, if I was to pick range, for instance, for ranged I need solid amounts of dexterity, high amounts of dexterity and solid strength. You need more strength than you need dexterity, but you're going to get from power from the bow is going to be strength, and then how much you hit with your bow with the dexterity, then a bit of agility and a bit of stamina, right? And it's the same for any, really, like white magic for instance. You don't want to just forget about strength and stamina, or in all fairness, you don't really want to forget about stamina full stop throughout the game, because you're still going to need some form of stamina, because that's like, that stat there is your health bar. You want more in obviously intelligence and wisdom or even charisma, but you still want a certain amount of stamina throughout the game. Same with like combat arts. So you know, dexterity and agility are going to be your main stat, but then you want to stick some into stamina and strength. So it'd be almost the reverse of heavy combat arts. And you know, for all the magic skills, you want these three as your main skill, and then obviously stamina and strength is split depending on what, you know, weapons that you're using and various bits and pieces. But you still need agility and dexterity to go with that too. So it's all about how you work your points. But right, anyway, I'll see you later, and I'll see you in the next video where we're going to head to Night Whisper Dale. Ciao guys.